Okay, fixers, so in the first step of the caprification process, what I've done here is harvested 4 profici, which are the male version, the male caprifig version of Brebas. One had actually fallen on the ground, this one, so I know that they're ripe. They swell just like female figs. When they ripen, they get soft, they hang, and these 4 look like they're ready, especially the one that fell down. All we need to do here for the first step of the process is I'm going to clean and cut them in half and let them dry out overnight. So let's do that. Okay, here we're cutting. It's cut in half. You can see pretty close to being ripe. There you go. That's what we're looking for. You can see inside. Got some pollen down on this side specifically. And we'll just do that with all 4. Okay. 2. 3. And finally, number 4. Okay, we'll let these dry for 24 hours, and tomorrow we'll look at part 2. Happy figging! Hello fixers, so today we're going to look at part 2 of caprification. So yesterday you saw me cut the figs and let them dry, so it's been 24 hours, so they've dried a little bit, sufficiently enough for us to go ahead and retrieve the pollen from them. So I'm going to basically just take each of the halves and tap it out over a bowl, and you can see the magic dust. That's the pollen, that's what we're after right in there. So I'm just going to continue to do that for all of the figs. That's what I'm going to use to go ahead and caprify the figs. So I'm going to go ahead and collect the rest of this all in here. For the next session, we're going to show you how to make dilutions and get the syringe ready to go ahead and inject into the figs. So that's collecting pollen. Again, that's what it looks like. The white stuff is the pollen. The other little hunks of the male flowers that are in there, but it's the white magic dust is what we're after for caprifying figs. All right, so happy figging fixers, and we'll talk to you for the next session. Thanks again. Okay, so for the next step in our caprification, what we're going to do is we're going to make the dilution of our fig pollen. So what we need here in this case is we're going to take some distilled water and we're going to make a 3% solution of sugar, table sugar, and then we're going to add the pollen to that. So here's how we do that. We're going to do it by weight. So we'll take, everything needs to be clean. Let's just be very clear up front and say that. So you need a clean workspace. You don't want to contaminate anything that you're working with. You can pick up mold, bacteria. This is a solution you're going to inject into all of your figs. So cleanliness here is important. Everything, we wiped down and cleaned everything before we started so that we wind up with as clean a solution as we can possibly get. So you start out, you take your container, we're going to put it on our scale. We'll tear out our scale. You should have a scale with, let's say, a 1 gram resolution for the way that we're doing it over here. We're going to add 100 grams of water. It's already teared out. So we'll add our water. Get that up to 100 grams. Okay, right on the button. Close that up. We want to do 2 things. We want to sterilize the distilled water and also warm it up so that the sugar dissolves easily into it. So we take that, microwave it for about 1.5 minutes till it gets to just about boiling, and then go ahead and bring it out and add the sugar to it. I've already microwaved some, so we'll go and get it from the microwave. Here we've got hot water, distilled, ready to go. Put that on the scale, tear it out, and we need to add our 3 grams of sugar. We'll go ahead, put sugar in there, and we'll just add it. Go from 0. There's 1 gram. 2. We're right on the edge. Okay. And there you go, 3 grams of sugar, so that's going to be 3% by weight. Take that, we're going to mix it up real good to dissolve all of the sugar. Doesn't take much with the water as hot as it is at this point. And there you go. So we have our sugar nicely dissolved in there right now. If we would add the pollen at this point, you'd probably kill the pollen because the water's too hot. So you need to let this sit before you add the pollen to it to get down to room temperature. We've already done that, so I've got prepared for you here 3% solution, sugar water solution, and we're going to add the pollen. If you recall, we collected the pollen the other day. This is about 12 caprifigs worth of pollen. It's been stored in the refrigerator to maintain the freshness of it. It can probably stay up to a year inside the refrigerator. But this is what we're going to use, and since we use about 2 caprifigs worth of pollen in 100 milliliters of solution, so I'm going to roughly eyeball 1/6 of what we got here. I'm going to take some of that, put it into our room temperature solution. Okay, put it in, and that's more than enough that's in there already. This will become a suspension. So first, before I mix this, I'm going to put this away in the fridge to keep it fresh. Put that out of the way. And we will mix up our suspension here. You can see, it's kind of hard to see, but it floats. So you have to make sure it's well distributed in your sugar solution. So give this a good stir. And actually, when we're injecting this into the figs, we're going to stir it up so that you have a well distributed solution in the sugar water. So that's just about ready to go, as is over there. We're going to use a syringe. We'll take it outside in a minute. This is a 3 ml syringe. We'll use this to inject about 1 milliliter each into the figs. I'm not going to open it in here because I want to keep this sterile for as long as possible. And then once we go ahead and inject the solution into the fig, we will cover each of our caprified figs with a blue organza bag. We use 2 different kinds of bags. The blue organza is going to be for caprified figs. Those will get covered today as we pollinate. Later on in the season, as the rest of the common figs swell that are not pollinated, we'll use the green bag on those so we can differentiate when they finally ripen, which is the caprified fig and which is the non-caprified fig. So we're going to take it outside. We'll show you the next step, which is then actually injecting our pollen solution into figs and making some pollinated figs. Okay, so for the final step, the most interesting and the most fun one, which is actually caprifying our figs to wind up with some delicious mouth-watering figs in the fall. Here's the last step, and here's what we need to do. We made up our suspension of pollen inside. It's ready to go. It's stirred up. We're going to use a syringe. I use a 23 gauge 3 milliliter syringe. I buy these by the box full because what you'll find over time is as you're injecting each of the figs, the syringe may get plugged by fig material, and so you'll have to toss the tip or toss the syringe and use another one. So if you're going to try this, make sure you have a good supply of syringes so you can use up all of that suspended pollen solution. You've got to use it up. It doesn't hold in solution. If you stick it in the fridge, it will get moldy in a few days because it is sugar water basically. So we're going to put about 1 milliliter into each of the figs that we do. So basically this 100 milliliters, I'm going to pollinate 100 figs today. And of course we've got our blue bag, so after we do our pollination, we'll put an organza blue bag on each one to differentiate and so we know which of the figs that we've already pollinated. So let's get started. I'm going to give this a stir. I've already got a syringe that I just took out of the package. Careful not to poke yourself here. Just draw up some of the well-mixed solution. Make sure you've got your syringe loaded. Okay, we're ready to go. I've got a couple mils in here right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just get the air out of it. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm going to put the top back on so I don't stab myself here. Choose a fig. Over here I've got some Zafiro trees. For this one in particular here, you can see some figlets already growing on it. These are too small over here. This one and this one, they're about the right size, so anywhere from like a nickel to a quarter size. That's where you want to be when you're pollinating. And we'll go ahead and pollinate. So we're going to go in through the ostiole, right into the fig. It should go in nice and smoothly. And we're going to squeeze in about 1 milliliter of the solution. Okay, there you go. You can see it dripping out. That's what you want. You're there. And that fig is now pollinated. So let me just cover my syringe so I don't poke myself. Get our blue organza bag, put it over my fig, and hopefully in about 2.5 months, this Zafiro will be a delicious pollinated fig. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. Give it a try if you have or can obtain some caprifigs and you want to find out what a pollinated fig is actually tasting like. You'll see they're bigger, they're sweeter, the seeds will sink. You can even use those seeds to grow new varieties as well. So have fun, and thanks very much, figsters. Happy figging.